G's and then I hit the rest. And it's okay to do your thing, but just don't do the most. I put my friends in that old Benz and took that to the coast.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to AZ Sports Live, presented by the Cochran Firm and Boston Scientific, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! It's week 15 already. Woo! Week 15, man. First look, Cowboys, Jaguars. We're going to take a look at this offense of Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, Christian Kirk, all those guys over there, how they match up with this defense. And one concept or philosophy or whatever you want to call it, the Cowboys are going to have to deal with: contain, stop, protect themselves, whatever. They're going to have to do that in this game against Jacksonville. We'll talk about that. We'll jump into the lab for a few plays. And then in the roundup, the Cowboys lose a massive player, but they're going to replace him with another massive player. Potentially. We'll see. Apparently, it's just at the visiting stages right now. But we could see him being signed according to that player's Instagram account. But stick around for all of that. Should be a pretty smooth show today. Got the roundup, and we're going to jump straight into the matchup because now we're kind of getting back. You had the Colts. We kind of dug in on the Colts, but you had Thanksgiving, right? It was the Giants. We really didn't have to go in on the Giants. We knew who they were. The Colts, bad team, but they had some things that you can contend with offensively, players, and it gave us a challenge. And then obviously the Texans, y'all know how I did last week. We didn't really touch on them, but we're kind of back into that mode because these next 4 games are going to present a challenge for every single opponent. So today we'll dive in detail on that. But Bomb Squad! Shout out to you guys for being here early and often as you always are. I can't believe y'all been rocking for 15 weeks. And not just 15 weeks. It didn't occur to me until midday yesterday because y'all know how I am. Head down, work. Head down, work. And I could have did a special show today, and I just didn't because, again, head down, work. Y'all realize we have hit 20,000 subscribers. 20,000 subscribers. It didn't even occur to me that happened until I think it was Nick. Shout out to Nick, who's been a part of this thing. Text me yesterday. It was like, hey, man, congratulations on the 20K. I'm like, huh? What? Oh, wow. We really did hit 20,000 subscribers. And I could sit here and get all mushy and all that stuff with y'all, but it's y'all. Shout out to y'all. Drop fire emojis, drop bomb emojis, drop whatever you want, but 20K in about 2 years, maybe. Me and Sosa started this channel at the end of 2020. So beginning of 2021 is when we opened the channel up at the end of 2020, but we really got going in 2021. So roughly 2 years, man, unbelievable, man. I am humbled. I am grateful. I thank you guys for being here. And this morning show has really taken off because of y'all. And we're just getting started. I say that all the time, but I truly do feel like that. Like we're just getting started. I'm just getting started personally. And I want to keep rocking with y'all. I want y'all to keep rolling with this momentum and with this brand. And there's so much more in store, man. So much more in store. And so now I got that out the way. Head down, get to work, because that's just who I am. But I promise you, at some point I will stop and really take all of this in. But right now it's still about that work, man. Cowboys got some work to do. We got some work to do. So let's just keep killing it, y'all. Let's get into this roundup.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Oh, they do it! Hey, oh, they do it!
Hey, yo. Still crazy, man. 20,000. So yesterday during the show, we got breaking news, right? I mean, I could have hit the button. I think I did hit the button. Jonathan Hankins, we knew there was an issue with that pectoral muscle, and as it happens to be, we'll have Dr. Boothby returning on Monday after the show. So maybe I'll drop the whole interview on Monday, but I'll have a little tidbit of it on Tuesday as well. So we'll talk to Dr. Boothby and see what's up with this, because he said he's dealt with some of these injuries before, but it's not a torn pectoral muscle, it's a strain, and he's going to be out for the regular season. That's what dropped yesterday. Then Jerry Jones also said on the radio yesterday, and I quote, "You could see Jonathan back for the playoffs, but he won't be back before then." So they are leaving that option open. And they said on .com that they stopped short of identifying IR as an option. interesting because I thought they'd put him on IR because that's at least 4 weeks. You got 5 weeks left. 5 weeks left? Oh, yeah. 4 weeks left, including week 15. So I'm surprised they would elect not to do that, especially since bringing in T.Y. Hilton, potentially a replacement for Jonathan Hankins. I would imagine they'd throw him on IR, but maybe they're like, we don't have to because we've just put literally 3 people on IR in the last 8 weeks. So you'll have one of those guys open. In the last really 3 weeks, you put 2 people on IR. So look for Jonathan Hankins, I think, to be on IR, but may not happen. We'll see. However, and we'll talk about Jonathan Hankins' importance in a second, they realize the importance of having a big behemoth in the middle and not just one, because they do have Bohanna, but I think Hankins, it sounds crazy. Hankins and Bohanna are similar in size, but they play just a slight different. Salute to Bohanna, I think, for getting quicker this year. I think he got a little bit more snap to him. He has some 3-tech-ish things to him, but he's a big guy. I think Hank is just pure power, pure muscle, pure move me, you can't. Hey, squad, they brought in this dude named Anthony Rush, who posted on his Instagram account a locker in Dallas. So nothing has come out unless it has come out. Y'all can let me know. They brought him in. This man is either 6'4", 6'5", 350 or 360 pounds. Now, a couple days ago, if you guys recall, when I was on here, I think in the roundup, I said, man, they can't just sit on their hands on this. They got to bring somebody in here. And I don't care if it's a guy who's sweating grease from his stomach. At 360, he probably sweating grease, bro. That's a big boy. And surprisingly, just my guess, it doesn't seem like a bad player. I know he's on the street, but let's kind of see who Anthony Rush is, Cowboys Nation. 4-year player out of UAB. He bounced around the league. He's been on a ton of teams. But his last team was with the Atlanta Falcons that he played some regular season games with. The first 4 or 5 games. I think it was 4 games. In 4 games, he has 7 tackles and 4 stops, which honestly is not bad for a guy that's going to play one particular role. And let me bring you back here. I often say this about Bohanna. When he was drafted, Dan Quinn said, hey, man, Bohanna's going to be right here. Sometimes he'll be right here. So, and he was joking. Bohanna's moved around a little bit, but that's kind of what Jonathan Hankins has been. He's been lined up on the center, or he's been moved off to the side and one of the eyes, right? I feel like if they bring in this Anthony Rush fella, that's what he would do. Hey, man, we just need you for 15 to 20 snaps to make things difficult for these running backs. I didn't get a chance to watch real film. I kind of went back and saw some of his Raiders stuff, and I was like, sheesh, my man pretty strong. And obviously he's 6'5", so he has some length to him. He's huge, but I'm not going to go too in on this because I did not watch games of film on him like I did for Jonathan Hankins when the Cowboys signed him. But for a guy that's 350, 360, played a fairly decent amount of snaps at the beginning of the year for the Falcons. Listen to this. He played 28 snaps, 13 snaps, 18 snaps, and 28 snaps. You don't play that many snaps if you can't handle it at that size. So at least we know that he can handle that. And at least we know now Jonathan Hankins is a longer tenured player in the league, but I think if he were to be signed, you could see him out there this week, unless it's a practice squad type of signing, but you could see him out there because we saw Jonathan Hankins get signed 4 days later. He's playing because there's a particular role, a particular thing we want you to do. It doesn't require a whole lot of thinking. Beat the man in front of you, hold these 2 guys up, hold tight, hunker down, anchor down, and allow these linebackers to stay clean. Because we saw last week or Sunday, whatever you want to call it, where when LVE was able to be kept clean, and throughout the year, really, LVE is a better player. Damone Clark, we know, can fly around. Anthony Barr, he's still up and down, hit and miss. If they elect to put Micah at linebacker, we know what he can do if you keep him clean. Hell, even if you don't, but if you keep him clean, we know what he can do. So they need a guy that can help keep these guys clean constantly, right? Meaning Bohanna's one dude. But if Bohanna's not in, if he needs a breather or whatever, Now we're having to rely on Neville Gallimore or Carlos Watkins, which salute to Watkins. Like, he's played his role very well. But Carlos Watkins not 360 pounds, right? So, and let me tell you why I think it's extremely important to replace Hankins with a similar style of player. Because since Hankins has arrived here in Dallas, the Cowboys' run defense has improved. And we can say, well, Sky, look at the Packers game. You're absolutely right. The Packers game is the one outlier since his arrival. We can even go to the Bears game if you want. 260 yards. Yeah, sure. About 160 of them or something crazy. 133, whatever it is, were from two reverses to running backs and the quarterback who ran for almost 100 yards. The running backs, when the game was mattering, when Hankins was on the field, averaged less than 3.5 yards per carry. The only team that's really had tremendous success against the Cowboys since Hankins' arrival has been the Packers. Other than that, they did well against the Colts and Jonathan Hankins. In fact, let's be honest. I'll say it, even though the numbers won't say it. They've literally held 4 teams in a row under 100 yards. Yes, the Colts got 106, but that's because they got like 20-something yards on the last drive, down 54-19. You're not really out there trying to stop the run. You're just like trying to get out of there. The game's over. And then other than that, 70-something yards, 70-something yards, 70-something yards. So the run defense has improved under Jonathan Hankins. He will be missed unless this guy, Anthony Rush, can kind of fill in that void physically. Can fill in that void. So hopefully they don't retract back to what was happening prior to that, where it was like 2 good games of run defense, and then other than that, running backs were kind of having a field day on the Cowboys, man. So maybe field day is being a little bit, maybe that's being a bit too much. But they were having good games. Cowboys Nation. 68, one boy said he don't care if big boy sweating grease from his stomach. I sure don't. I feel like you need a body, man. And I'm glad that Dan Quinn feels that same way. Now, will you need that type of player for this game against the Jaguars? Well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about it. I'll save it for when we break them down. They're in the middle of the pack, though, in regards to rush attempts, but you know how teams like to do the Cowboys, right? They play us differently. Micah has said it. Dan Quinn has said it. And you could see the Jags come out here and do things a little bit differently. So, oh, boy, bands. You are wild. All right, here's what we're going to do early. We had a couple callers on the line. So let's jump into the phone lines in a second. And I saw somebody in here say, have you seen the podcast about Micah Parsons? I have. And surprisingly enough, I told y'all I will 100% admit there is a 4-letter network show I do watch, a couple of them. And it's Max. It's Max. It's Keyshawn and Jay Will. I watch them in the morning as I'm getting ready, getting situated. Oh my gosh. They are running this Micah Parsons podcast thing into the ground. Quite frankly,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
we don't care.
I truly do not care enough. I don't. You know, and we'll probably talk about this on another show, or other shows will bring it up. But I'm sorry, Cowboys Nation. This ain't the show if you want me to go in on Micah Parsons joining the podcast and saying, is it the team or is it her? I don't care. But for the big letter networks, oh man, that's huge news. Oh, that's huge news. Y'all know how we do here. We're going to talk ball. Now, next week, we might use that sound clip next week, but that's next week. We got the Jaguars to focus on this week. But I don't care, man. Truly. Let's get into the phone lines. The Pulse of the Nation hotlines presented by the Cochran Firm, the wonderful people down at the Cochran Firm, headlined by Brian Pope and Larry Taylor. Make sure you guys, if you have any type of legal advice, legal action you need to take, you get in an accident down here in Dallas, you know how y'all drive, hit up my guys, Brian and Larry at the Cochran Firm. They've been protecting and fighting for this DFW area community since 2005. The very last firm founded by Johnny Cochran, by the way. If it don't fit, You know the rest. But Cochran Cares, man. Hit them up, 1-800-THE-FIRM, or visit them online at CochranTexas.com for your free consultation today. Let's get my guy, Mr. Ronnie, my Reading brother, on the horn. What's goody, man?
Hey, good morning. God bless you in the show, and God bless you in the 20K that you have reached, my brother. That's a good accomplishment.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say that yesterday that I want to apologize when I said about Brett Favre. I meant to say Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, we knew what you
sometimes.
meant, brother. We knew what you meant. All good.
Huh?
We knew what you meant, Mr.
No,
Ronnie.
but sometimes when you say things, people, you know what I mean, think, oh, okay, he don't know what he's talking about. Trust me, I know my football from A to Z. But anyway, and also too, I wanted to say that that I was talking to you on the last show that you did from Harrisburg when you was about to move to Dallas to do what you do over there. Yeah, because we was talking about the Dan Quinn. That's when they had hired Dan Quinn.
Damn, you've been rocking for a minute then, Mr. Ronnie.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, the last night that you did it, you had on a white, if I'm not mistaken, a white sweatshirt, and this dude from Britain had called you. That was the first time that I ever got to talk to you, and it was late night, and you was doing your thing. But anyway, I wanted to say that I think that that I hope that Dallas don't come into this game sleepwalking to this game, because we really need this game. I hope that they come and do what they got to do, and just take care of business. And I also heard that they're in talks with Odell Beckham. Do you think that we should pick him up after what he's been acting, the way he's been acting, meant to say better?
Well, I'm saying no, not because of the way he's acting. I'm saying no because he can't contribute this year. Like my whole, I use the word excitement I don't say that with my chest, but my whole excitement about the Odell Beckham thing was if he can contribute this year. There is no excitement if he can't contribute this year. So, I don't think they should really approach, and they're not. I don't think they will. That's why they went after T.Y. Hilton. What would be the point of getting Odell Beckham and T.Y. Hilton, and you got James Washington that just came back? That's not happening. Odell Beckham, if he's a Dallas Cowboy, it'd be more for 2023.
Yeah, and I also see, because I feel like this, if you a player, because I coach basketball, AAU championship, I won my championship in Puerto Rico, and I always told my players, if you don't practice and if you don't go through the hard pain of the team, you don't deserve to be on the team, because what's the sense of we taking them now after everybody else put their hard sweat, and then now he comes in for the charity? That ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, God bless you in the show and keep up the good work, my brother. Thank you, Mr. Ronnie. Appreciate you, man. I feel him. I think he's probably talking about when he said, I'm not. There's no need to play in the regular season. Yeah, I think that would rub some teams the wrong way, and not every team. Some teams don't really care, but I can dig it. Like if you're in that locker room and he has said that publicly, like, I don't need to play the regular season. And then you sign him, and then week one, he's taking over your reps that you worked hard to get. And let's just say, right, like Noah Brown. Noah Brown he came up big last week in that game. He has a defined role. And let's just say you sign Odell, and now Odell's your number 3, and Noah, sits the bench. And you're talking about Odell hasn't played a game? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd feel some type of way. Now, if he got here, played 3-4 games for you, that's a different story. He would have earned that. But I feel you, Mr. Ryan. We got 908. I want to say this King. Is this King Cowboy?
King Cowboy.
Yes,
what's
sir.
Good,
What's good, King?
Hey, bro, congrats on the 20K, man. You're the hardest working man in America, so you deserve all that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. It's been a journey, and it ain't done.
Hey, I'm following it. I signed up recently, but I'm on it with you. Hey, I'm excited about this kid Rush. By the mere size alone, he got to be the biggest D tackle we done bought in since I don't even know. You watch any film on him?
Like I said, I in passing, I went and saw just a little bit of highlights when he was in Oakland. So I can't really speak on anything recently. So I decided to dig in on his statistics before I went and got the film, because I wanted to watch Jaguar stuff first.
But when I went and look at his stats, bro, in 4 games, he has 7 tackles and 4 stops. Like, that's not a small feat for a one-tech big guy. That's pretty decent.
6'5", 350, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, he's in between 6'4", 6'5", or 350, 360.
Sheesh. Hey, as long as he just get in the way. That's how I'm looking at it. Just get in the way.
Yeah.
Just take up 2 blockers. Do that for the run defense. We should be straight.
Right.
I want to give this front office a little credit. I know we killing them. They've been doing the same bargain shopping they've been doing. But it's that position that we need, and it ain't always the big names. I know us as fans, we like, no, you should have got him. Hey, we tried to get Odell. We looked at that. Tried to trade for Judy. Tried to get Brandon Cooks. We've been trying to make moves. I just want to give them a little credit. Picking at certain positions. We need a corner, but definitely want to stick with the young boys. That's fine. So
yeah, I did that.
Credit to them for.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. I said this yesterday. I said, listen, I ain't taking my foot off of Stephen Jones' neck, but I do got to back off a little bit because I'm all about mercenary signings, right? And I think he's been doing these mercenary signings. Now you got T.Y. Hilton, you get Jonathan Hankins, who was a mercenary trade. Anthony Barr was another one, a mercenary signing. So, Dante Fowler, I consider these mercenary signings. Guys, Jason Peters, right? Guys have been around, been productive, can come in on a cheap, play a role. You're not asking them to do too much. Like, I have to give them kudos for those signings. So I'm with you, man. Foot ain't off the neck, but I'm backing up a little bit. I'm giving them a golf clap for those ones, no doubt about it. I can't come at them and then not give them credit, right? That wouldn't be real.
Right. Last point, real quick. Hey, I know you can't say much, but give us a little bit more of that Micah thing. Just give me one little snippet, one little secret, one little something. Tell me something what's going on, because I see it. I see it on the field. He's frustrated. I heard what you said yesterday. Yeah. What's going on with that? I'm going to hang up. I'm going to listen. Love the show, Scott. Keep doing your thing, brother.
Salute, King. King is good at this. King, if you notice, go listen to his calls. He'll give you a question at the end. Like, all right, man, I'm out of here, man. Tell me about them aliens that landed, man. Let me know what the FBI talking about. All right, man, I'm out of here. Let me know how you get up. Whoa, wait a minute. King? Nah, fantastic question. Okay, I'll say this, and to protect, so I can continue to do this. He want to play, right? That's obvious, right? Like, you see him on the sidelines, and he is pissed. And a lot of people think, like, that's just Micah, right? And it could be just Micah. But this isn't the first game. Go look at that shot where Micah Parsons, and I couldn't believe it, man. I'm in my living room because I was watching the game this weekend at home. And I'm like, it's 3rd and 3. I think they were on the Cowboys side of the field, and Micah Parsons is on the sideline. What? I'm like, all right, listen. I said this to Voch yesterday. All right, if you're trying to maintain his, numbers so he can be healthy and ready for the playoffs, cool. But once these playoffs get here, unless he needs a blow, unless he taps his helmet, I better not see Micah Parsons on that sideline on no 3rd and 3 because coaching. That makes no sense. This is your best player. Your best player wants to play, you play him. It's not that complicated to me. So, and that's the obvious one, right? Well, you can see it on Micah Parsons. I think you saw it in Green Bay. You might have saw it. One of these games, a bunch of games, to be honest with you, where you saw Micah Parsons on the sideline, he just looks pissed. It's because he want to play. And I'll leave, and that's the end. That's where I'll stop at, King, because I think that's a fair one to give you guys, because we can all see that on the field. What y'all saying about that? So Hallelujah said, I think DQ doesn't want to get him hurt. I mean, but you can't coach like that, right? Like, Hallelujah, you can't coach like that. You can't coach that, I don't want to get my player hurt, because any play you can get your player hurt. I said this last year. I haven't really said it much this year because of rotation. I mean, who am I to complain about the number 1 pass rushing team in the league, right? But if you recall last year, DQ would always talk about a number he didn't want these guys to hit. Mike is a bit special because he's going to hit that number if he was to play both linebacker and DE, but he's not playing linebacker and DE. He's playing DE, but there's a number, non-Micah Parsons number, that most of these guys They don't want them to hit, and I think they're trying to include Micah in that number. They don't want these dudes to reach 35, 40 snaps a game. I get it, but there's a few players, the Micah Parsons, the D-Laws, where it's like, hey, these are horses. Saddle up and let them roll. That part I do not know, Toxic. I can try to find out, though. Is politics playing a role with this? I don't know, man. If I had to guess, I would say nah. I think this is a coaching collective thing that, hey man, we got a number. This is how we want to roll. This is how we want to rotate, and he wants to play. Let's get Twan. Twan, I haven't heard from you in so long, but I know you've been here probably when we had 100 subscribers, man. Good morning, good brother.
Man, that's good. That's good to hear. Good to hear your voice again, Scott.
Yeah.
For sure. Congrats on the 20K, man. I've been watching. Don't get me wrong. I know I've been called it, but I've been watching your show, man, as always. You're my go-to Cowboys content.
Salute, man.
As always. As far as this is new to me, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know this was a problem. I didn't know they were like holding Micah some snaps, but I can kind of see it though, because that especially when in the month of December, where guys tend to get more beat up, and injuries have been happening. As you can see, injuries have been ravaging our team this month. So I mean, I guess I think it's maybe because of the fear of AB, J. Lou, who else, Jonathan Higgins, they've been going down. So it's just like, okay, maybe we should probably back off a little bit on the snap count. But I, as a player, though, and as a former football player, I get the feeling I'm like, I want to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how many snaps. Like, if I can play, I'm ready to go. So
right.
I see what you're saying in that sense. But as far as the Jags, I really feel like we cannot start how we played against Houston this past Sunday. We really got to just, pick up the tempo, stay locked in, know your assignments, and do what we got to do and beat this good, bad team pretty much. So,
Yeah, it's funny you say good, bad team. I think I said that yesterday. Like this team, and we'll get to it in a second. This team has the schematic, they have the schemes, and they have the talent to give you trouble. Styles make fights, and the way their style, this is not, we'll talk about it, but this is not roll out your helmet. All right, you better come and get ready to play with this one.
Yeah, you can't you can't
offensively. I haven't got to their defense, so I can't speak on that just quite yet. But offensively, they do some good things.
For sure. You gave our front office golf class. That's the first time I heard you use Jason Garrett.
When it comes, now if it was the draft, I would pound my chest. But when it comes to player personnel acquisition, the mercenary, I gotta give them golf class, man. I can't. How real would I be if I come on here and poo them doing the things that I asked them to do, right? Get some of these mercenary guys. Now, I'll pound my chest if they also combat it with getting some of the top tier guys, every once in a while. But hey, got to start somewhere, I guess.
No, our front office is definitely
audio's cutting in and out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You keep talking. I'm gonna try to figure this out.
Okay. No, our front office has definitely been doing a really good job, I would say, in terms of player acquisition. I know we don't go after big names like that, but I feel like this year especially, maybe Steven hurt us a little bit, like, okay, maybe we could dibble and dabble. And we've tried. It's just, luck hasn't really struck our way. OBJ wasn't ready. Brandon Cooks just couldn't get the numbers and deals right before the deadline. So they're trying. And I think they're honestly doing a good job, too, because I think Jonathan Higgins has worked out up until he got injured. And then I think didn't they just add a new defensive tackle this morning? I don't know if I'm reading that correctly, but I think I heard he was decent in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Anthony Rush is the guy that came in this morning. If you go in and out, Cowboys Nation, you should be good. I went in and out on YouTube on my phone, and the audio's back good.
But yeah, Dan Quinn loves his Atlanta players. I'm starting to think he might just have a secret Atlanta practice squad.
That's not his guy, though. That's not his guy. He didn't.
Oh, it ain't?
No. He didn't have anything to do with Anthony Rush. He's just most recently played with Atlanta early this season. I think he was in Philly. I think he went to the Titans. Let me get the teams for you. I got you. Yeah, he's not I don't believe he's a Dan Quinn drafted dude. Let's see here. He was with Philly, Green Bay, Seattle, and then he came to Atlanta in 2021. So, and Dan Quinn was already here.
Ew, Philly. Ugh, I can't wait till Christmas Eve. My mama, I cannot. I'm gonna beat the fuck out that team. But anyways, as always, Scott, man, appreciate your content as always. Congrats on the 20K. I'm gonna continue watching, and as always, salute,
man. Appreciate you. So as Twan was talking here, and we were talking about this Micah Parsons snap thing. One thing I didn't do, I didn't go look at his snap count. So I did that. Take a listen to this, man. In the first 10 weeks, Micah played 51 or more snaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 51 or more snaps 7 times. The last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, he's played it 0. The one game he had over 50 snaps, which was 51, was against the Colts, which, that could have been much lower because the game was over in the middle of the fourth quarter. 38 snaps against Minnesota, blowout. 43 against the Giants, 51 against Indianapolis, 48 against Houston. I think that's why you're seeing him kind of be like, yo, like, what are we doing? I gotta look more into. I mean, I've like I said, I know what I know, but why the snap counts? Why is that snap count? He hasn't played 60 snaps since Green Bay, and that was more because he was playing linebacker. But that's interesting. All right, one more, then we're gonna preview these Jaguars. 832, what it do?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to call in, man. I just I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. I'm gonna keep it short and simple, Ben. But I just don't think it's right how everybody on these other stations just dogging us nonstop, especially with the whole Dak situation, all the interceptions. I understand he can clean it up and he can do a lot better. We all want that. But when you're going to have the number one offense, best first downs, completion percentage, whatever, all this, you're going to throw some interceptions. If you look around, I think since since Dak came back from a thumb injury, there's 2 other quarterbacks that threw plenty of interceptions as well. That's
Mahomes and Josh Allen. Yeah, I've been seeing that whole thing going around. Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the star on the helmet and the fact that it's the Cowboys and no one cares for Dak, But when you're going to have such a good offense like we have, you're going to have some turnovers. Of course, like I said, we could clean it up. But, and then as far as, Cowboys, everyone talk about how Eagles are so much better because Cowboys been struggling. Well, the same teams Cowboys been struggling with, Eagles struggle with. Eagles struggled against the Colts. They struggle with the Texans. They struggle with the Lions. They barely beat the Texans. They put up, I think, 8 points in the fourth quarter to make it look like it was bigger than what it was, but that was a 29-17-point game. So, man, I'm just getting tired of all of it. I just wanted to voice my opinion so it can be heard for those that are listening, and just kind of wanted your opinion on it, man.
Fair enough, right? Like I have to do this a lot because I know everyone doesn't do what I do in the sense of I don't watch those shows, so it doesn't really bother me anymore because I'm literally doing what I'm doing because of the way they cover the Cowboys. So it'd be counterproductive for me to watch these shows and get riled up knowing this is for sport. This is WWE. We know the narrative around Dallas, and one half of me is like, you know what, we gotta prove them wrong and just go handle our business. The other part is this is all for Fox. They know if you're saying something about the Cowboys, say something about Dak, you're going to get the clicks, you're going to get the ratings. So they don't break down stuff. They talk about low hanging fruit and they try to get all the clicks. So if I were you, if I may, give some props to my cohorts and my brothers in arms here. You better off watching Voch Lombardi. You're better off watching Okoye, Foots, the Laws, right? The Bosses, the Tucks, the Romes, these guys. You're better off watching these guys in regards to trying to get Cowboys real information and going on there. And no disrespect to those guys that put in work on those networks, but my feelings about it is, quite frankly, I don't care, because it'll never change until Dallas has success in the playoffs. And even if they do, they're still probably going to revert back to that, because that is how you generate clicks. Now, in regards to Dak Prescott and the interceptions and whatnot, there's a legitimate reasons you can break these down, and they involve multiple things included. But at the end of the day, the one thing that won't change unless TY changes this, or there are multiple things that won't change, your scheme ain't changing, separation ain't changing. So fair or unfair, I do have to say, okay, Dak, you gotta rein it. I hate to say rein it back. Ooh, let me not say rein it back. You've got to be more calculated. How about that? You've got to be more calculated, because unlike Allen and Mahomes, and I'm not even talking about the arm here, they've got scheme that can get some dudes running wide open on a over route or on a conflict area or something like that. They do schemey things to combat that. And they have, Allen is the darling of the league. Mahomes is Mahomes. So they're going to get that benefit of the doubt. He's not going to get that. He's upset with the interceptions. He knows he has to be smarter with these tight window throws. Unfortunately, I don't foresee tight window throws stopping. Like, I don't foresee guys just running wide open due to scheme, or he's usually going to have to be a turkey hole shot. Like, if you go watch the film against the Texans, you'll see a guy going up the seam and a corner here, cover two, safety here. You got to either dart that thing in there and the receiver got to take the hit, or hope that the safety doesn't do his job and he's running wide open. But that's not going to change. So fair or unfair, I do need him to be a little bit more calculated, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate your insight and appreciate it listening to you every morning, man.
Thanks, man.
It's good while I'm sitting at work, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. Yep. Yeah, I listen, everybody watches. Like I said, I watch a show on the network in the morning. And one of the guys on that show is a guy that I tune out when he does talk about the Cowboys and Dak, because he routinely says, I hate the Cowboys, so I can't take anything you say seriously. But the other guys provide decent commentary. But those talking head debate shows, listen, man, you're wasting your time, in my opinion. Saying. But I hope I explained that. How I explained the Dak Prescott situation, I hope that made sense. I think it's going to be up to him to elevate the scheme and his play caller, not the other way around, which has been the case forever. But I think it's going to be up to him to have to do that. And the word I'm using is calculated. I don't want him to fall back on being aggressive, because we are where we are because Dak Prescott can make these throws that we weren't making earlier in the season, right? And I do think he has progressed mentally against the shell. That's why you see a lot of, all right, let me get it down to TP quicker. Let me get it down to Zeke quicker. Let me get it down to Dalton Schultz quicker. So I think he has progressed in that manner. But unfortunately, I thought we were going to progress from a schematic standpoint, and I haven't quite seen it yet. There's been like 2 or 3 games where teams have played you like that. And I think actually like 3 or 4. And in one of the games, we did do some interesting things, but guess who was the quarterback? It was Cooper Rush. But Cooper Rush couldn't, and I'm going to say it was a Washington game. He threw a couple picks in that game, but there was also some shots in there, and I thought they were schemed up. They put pressure on the safety to make a decision. As we're about to turn over here to the Jaguars, you guys have heard me say this a lot when I study opponents. Man, a little bit jealous, man, when I see, and it's usually about the run game. I'm not too jealous about any team's run game this year. Kellen Moore, when he's not being basic, he's done a decent job from a run game concept standpoint this year. Boy, I'd be watching some of these teams passing game concepts, and I'd be like, oh, that, can we do that? Boy, I hate to keep saying this over and over. I can't stand our passing game concept. I can't. There's not enough conflict. It's extremely basic. It's very Linehan-ish when it comes to, and Garrett-ish when it comes to the mirrors and the comebacks and the HUDs. Just boy. But I watched this Jaguars, and I'm like, man, Doug Peterson, he one of them ones where he's going to put you in some conflict, and it's going to be up to Dan Quinn to make sure he doesn't get caught, right? And Joe Witt to make sure he doesn't get caught. That's going to be a fun matchup. Dan Quinn versus Press Taylor and Doug Peterson. That's going to be fun. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. But before we do, let's get this one out the way, because our next one, we'll just go ahead and say it's brought to you by Boston Scientific, y'all. Ready to break this thing down. In the U.S., more than 39 million men suffer from ED. Boston Scientific created edcure.org to help you find your best cure. To get started, head on over to edcure.org, take the quiz, learn your severity or risk of ED, and if you have a condition that puts you at high risk, you'll find a customized content for you to click on. Fastest way, find your best cure is to contact an ED specialist by browsing a list of experienced physicians in your area. It's easy. It's not hard, but you can be. Boston Scientific, edcure.org.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Alatola Sky.
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. We'll do it live.
Well, I'll call you Threzzy. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Threzzy. Just thinking off the top of my head, because Threzzy says Threezy. I'm not sure. Because when there's conflict, there's always miscommunication. See, no. The conflict that I'm talking about, I'm not sure how long you've been here, but the folks that jump into our Tape Tuesdays, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I mean create conflict. That actually should help with communication, because you're doing one thing. You don't have to read a defense. This is what you're doing. The miscommunication comes on option routes. And I'm not sitting here saying the Cowboys are exclusive to having miscommunication on option routes. I'm sure it happens across the league. But in Dallas, we've seen how many times it's happened since Dak has been back. There was one, a few actually, I think in the Texans game where I don't know the play call. I don't know what it was. But it felt like there was some miscommunication on these option routes because you had two players in the same area a few different times. In fact, I think there was one on the game-winning drive where you saw the flood DJ's talking about. And floods are concepts that everyone uses, but you can flood an area at every depth of the defense. And it's like we flooded that area very shallow, and you had Zeke and you had Noah Brown literally 5 yards apart. So the corner can cover two guys by being 5 yards apart. Nonetheless, I think the communication issues come from the option routes, not necessarily creating conflict. And we'll get to how they do that here in a second. Oh, no, Lemitra. No, y'all crazy, man. I wonder if Boston Scientific watches me do this read. Man, they probably hear me do it, but I wonder if they read the comments. All right, let's get into this Jaguars matchup, Cowboys Nation. You might have heard me say at the top of this, Press Taylor, offensive coordinator under Doug Peterson. He's been in the league for about a decade or so, and he's been with Doug Peterson and Andy Reid and Frank Reich. So he's been under that Andy Reid tree his entire career, whether it have been as a quarterbacks coach, quality control, whatever, right? When guys ask me, who would you want to go get? Remember I said, give me a quality control from Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, Mike McDaniels, Shanahan, Zach Taylor, these guys. Give me one of them quality control dudes. They do some fun things. They do some interesting things. But from a statistical standpoint, They are middle of the pack in damn near everything, man. 15th in points per game, 11th in yards, 15th in rush yards, 11th in yards per carry, 15th in third down conversions. But they do move the ball, right? So there's 6 in red zone attempts per game. So that means they're getting in the red zone. And they can do that via, obviously, 2 ways. They have a quarterback who can make all the throws, and they have a running back who is a sword, is what I call him. Travis Etienne. They traded James Robinson. They used to have a decent 1-2 punch in Travis Etienne and James Robinson, but now it's just Etienne. And he's a decent runner. He's a pretty good runner, actually. On the season, he's got 814 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's hitting at 5 yards per carry. However, lately, it's been tough sledding for him. Since week 9, the last 4 games for Travis Etienne hasn't quite been going well. He's only eclipsed 54 yards, or he hasn't eclipsed, 54 yards in any of those games. And he has a few of those games where he's being held under 2 yards per carry. But make no mistake about it. If they block it up, Travis can do some things. This is a good running back, man. And, I think he's top 10 in rush yards right now, top 10 in yards per carry. Is he a guy is he a Jonathan Taylor type? No, he's not one of those dudes, but he's a big play, breakaway play waiting to happen if you cannot corral him. Now, the Tennessee Titans are notoriously one of the best run defenses in the league. And, man, I was watching this film and I was like, oh, we got to play Tennessee in a few weeks. And, boy, those linebackers, oh, my. If you want to, and I'm sorry for sidebar conversation here. If you want to watch a team and say, this is how I want my linebackers to play, there's 2 teams. The San Francisco 49ers and the Tennessee Titans. Oh, my goodness. But that doesn't shock me. Mike Vrabel's the head coach. And then the Lions, who, listen, the Lions, since the Cowboys have played them, have turned it on. They've only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns since week 7, and they've made it tough on opponents in the ground ever since as well. So, not 2 good outings for Etienne over the last 2 weeks, but these teams have played good run defense. Can the Cowboys keep it up, especially without their guy in Jonathan Hankins? I think it's going to require the second level to be on it, man. It's going to require LVE to play like he played last game. It's going to require Damone Clark to be coming forward like he does. Anthony Barr is going to have to step it up a little bit, but I think that second level is going to be massive for them. And, of course, obviously, every game we say this, right? Control the edges. Contain the edges. Stay disciplined. Stay sound. Do your job. Because if he can see it, he'll knife through, he'll sword through, and he can make a big play. Now, they'll mix it up. They'll do, I forget the dude's first name, but Agnew. They'll do some of that jet sweep, jet motion stuff with him, and he'll get you for a few yards. So you got to be prepared for that. The Cowboys have been gotten. Shoot, it seems like every time a team does it. Think back here. The Bears ran a jet sweep with a receiver and got him. I think Washington did it. Yeah, and I think it's another team. A couple other teams have done it. So yeah, the Cowboys got to get better with those. Now, getting to Trevor Lawrence, who's been feeling it a little bit of late, man. 4 of his last 5 games, Trevor Lawrence has completed over 70% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in that span. Here's what I respect about Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, but this is more so a Doug Peterson thing, man. He's always trying to find ways to make it easier on his quarterback, It wasn't a clean start for Trevor Lawrence in that Titans game, but then he hit him with a few easy throws, get him in motion, get him in rhythm, and now you're talking about a guy who is going up against one of the worst passing defenses in the league. So once he finds that rhythm, he's good to go. They'll create conflict. We're going to hit the lab and show a few plays, one concept that they do create conflict, but even on that, right, like. And there's another one, too, where they run the trips to the left and they create conflict at each level of the defense. This isn't a nerfed offense. I believe the Cowboys offense is nerfed schematically. Like if someone's running a deep route, it's usually just to run a deep route. It's not really to create any conflict, in my opinion, and giving them an actual option. But Peterson will do that. And if the Cowboys come out and play some of that off coverage they like to play of late, he'll just fire the ball right to whoever that guy is. And normally it's Kelvin Joseph or a Anthony Brown. But I'm okay with that as long as they ain't getting beat deep. I do want to see this pass rush, though, marry the coverage this week because it didn't happen last week, right? We talked about this on Vach's show. The reason why you didn't get many opportunities for sacks is because they were trying to fire the ball, get the ball out fast, and teams are going to do that against you. The way to adapt is to put more pressure on the receivers early in the routes so that you can get home. If you don't, Trevor Lawrence is just going to fire it or right to his guy and pick up what he can pick up. Now, this might sound crazy because Trevor Lawrence has some legs, right? He can move a little bit. But I'd like to get him on a move. And I'm not talking about have him run on you, right? I'm talking about put some pressure on him. Make him move. Because that's one thing that Trevor is still trying to figure out, at least this season. He has not been good against pressure. He's only got 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions when he's under pressure. And he's completing 50% of his passes. And if you're in 2 grades, y'all know I'm not really into that. But he is one of the worst graded quarterbacks under pressure this year. So you don't need to blitz him because he's been killing the blitz, but you do need to get pressure on him. Trevor Lawrence is a 5-tool guy. He just has to put it all together. I mean, he can make all the throws. He can make reads. He has the arm talent. He has the size. He can move. He has the tools. That always doesn't matter for a quarterback. Now he's got a quarterback's coach. He's got an offensive coordinator. And I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to keep progressing to be one of our better young quarterbacks in the league. But right now, he still struggles with that pressure. So the Cowboys have to get home, and they may have a shot this week because the Jags, we talk about the Cowboys being a bad pass blocking. I use the word bad. Being bad in pass block win rate, and Dak masking that. Trevor Lawrence is dealing with the 3rd worst pass block win rate offensive line. And he's starting to help mask that. He has no interceptions over his last five outings. So he's getting better in that sense. Now we look at the key players here. We talked about Etienne, right? We did not mention their pass catchers, though. Evan Ingram had a fantastic game against the Titans. Buck 62. 2 tutties. He went off. We know Evan Ingram very well. Played with the Giants. He could be an issue. J-Ron's gotten a little bit better covering this year, but he's banged up. Now, he has a case of the dropsies, but Ingram from a physical standpoint can be a matchup problem. Zay Jones. We're very familiar with Zay Jones because he had a really good game against the Cowboys in Oakland or in Las Vegas last year on Thanksgiving. Sneaky solid option for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. He's been good for them. Big body receiver, makes tough catches. Kind of a better Noah Brown. That's kind of what I look at Zay Jones. But the guy that is just having a really good year, man, and he's the big money guy. Big free agent that everybody laughed at making that money, and maybe you're still laughing, but if I'm a Jags fan, I ain't laughing. I am not upset at all and complaining about his production. I'm talking about Christian Kirk, their dynamic slot receiver. Christian Kirk is having a hell of a year, man. 874, well on his way to over 1,000 yards, possibly on his way to over double-digit touchdowns, 67 receptions. He's already got a career-high 7 TDs. This is going to be a game where Deron Bland can really make a statement. Now, Deron Bland has already made a statement from a production standpoint, but I mean, if Deron Bland comes out here and has a hell of a game against Christian Kirk, now teams probably got to start looking at Deron Bland like, do I want to fool with him? Because Christian Kirk, combined with what they like to do with him in this offense, is going to be an issue, and they target him a lot. In fact, last time we played Christian Kirk, the last 2 times we played Christian Kirk, I believe he's been giving Dallas some problems. So, Deron Bland, you up, son. You up. Overall, though, man, this Jaguars team, I do think they have the pieces schematically. I think they have the talent at the skill positions to make this a fight. It'll come down to the front, getting back to being dominant. That's just how I see it. I know that's very cliche. I know that's very simple and easy to say. But if the Cowboys can be dominant up front, it will make life a living hell for them because they'll stop running. And then Trevor Lawrence, under pressure, has not been good. But if you allow them to allow that conflict to get started and give them time, give him time back there, I think it's fair to say we have question marks in the secondary due to injuries, right? Like, yeah, we love Deron Bland. Kelvin Joseph was solid last week, gave up the play, but we're still waiting to see what's up with that. Our safeties keep getting banged up in and out. The secondary isn't what it once was, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. But we know that they can be picked on a little bit, dotted up a little bit here and there, especially if you give them time. So I feel like you have to get home, get at Trevor Lawrence, and deal with that conflict. Let's jump into the lab real quick so I can show you exactly the conflict I'm talking about. If you were taking a look at the highlights I was playing about this passing offense, they run this play here, this trips, and sometimes they'll do a 2-by-3 formation as well, or a 3-by-2 formation the other way with it. But this was a touchdown play against the Tennessee Titans that they came back to similar fashion. But here's what they're going to try to do to you, creating some of this conflict. These guys' sole reason of existing on this play is to create conflict so he can go right up underneath it. And there is a tell, and you'll see it. And you can tell by the way they come off the ball. Just go look at them. And they're not really trying to do anything but getting away. And if you watch this guy in particular, he's just trying to get in your way. Easy. That's an easy read, and that's an easy touchdown. That's how you create conflict. They do it again. This time they do it differently. But again, if you watch the receivers and you read them, you can tell. These receivers are going to come off the ball, and they're just going to come up and pat, and try to get a wall set here. They want to get a wall set here. So this receiver can come right under that what, y'all? That conflict. And if you don't get home, they can get a positive play out of it. And even if you do, because if you really look at this, Eli Harold gets home. That's pressure. Boom. But because of the way the defense is playing, you get a first down. Now, I want you to watch, or not a first down, but a catch. Now, I want you to watch how the Detroit Lions play this. We're going to get a very, very, very similar play. They're going to try to create that conflict. Here it goes. Let me get a body. Now, he's just trying to clear out a guy, and we're going to get him underneath. But look at this fantastic communication here by the Detroit Lions. Looking at each other. Arms out. Looking at each other. Arms out. Stay home. Switch. Whatever the call may be. They stay home. Trevor Lawrence tries to get it to his guy as they create conflict. Nothing. That is going to be the adjustment that Dan Quinn is probably watching on film right now, if we're being completely honest, and saying, hey, be careful when you see this lineup. This 3-by-2 formation, they're going to try to create some conflict. Normally, teams try to get it with this linebacker or this running back, right? Like they'll try to do something along these lines right here. They'll get him come up, put pressure on this linebacker, and boom, Etienne comes right out. And I've seen them do that on tape. But this is their bread and butter. This is how they're going to try to get easy throws for Trevor Lawrence, especially. And if you're caught in man, you can forget about it. But as we've seen on this play right here, if you get caught in zone, you can still get ate up for a positive gain. So, and this is just from a kind of quick play, conflict-driven concept for the Jaguars. They have deep routes too. They have daggers that include a deeper concept. They have smash routes that'll get some deep concepts. They'll do some floods that'll get some deep concepts. So I respect Doug Peterson. I told this to y'all a couple days ago. This is going to be a fun X's and O matchup between Doug Peterson and Dan Quinn. And hey, I don't know who's in control of our turf tough matchup, but that would be my turf tough matchup. Doug Peterson versus Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn gets the best of them. I think you can win this one handedly. James said you missed the Lions coverage. Okay, I'll get back to you. I got you. Hold on one second. So this is how the Lions decided to play against it. Again, once again, you're going to see the 3-by-2. They're going to motion him in. But when they motion him in, he's going to be a part of creating that conflict, James. One more time for you. Here comes the motion. And right off the play, these two guys are responsible for getting in the way. Problem is, the communication is fantastic right here. They stay home. They don't bite. Incomplete pass. And even if they catch it, which they kind of could have, but that's why you're there, right? To make them drop the ball. Put a hit on them and make them drop the ball. So Dougie P, not a clock manager. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on his game management, but from an X's and O's standpoint, I really, truly do respect him. All right, let's get back to the lines. We got DJ on the horns. What's good, bro?
Hey, what's good? Give me 1 second. If you got me while I'm walking by construction. Give me 1 second. Let me get it.
I'll come back to you, DJ. Hold tight. I'll come back to you. Because it was sounding crazy. It was sounding real loud there. Let's get to Los. What's good, Los?
Yo, good morning, Sky.
Good morning, brother.
I only got one quick thing, man. So I noticed that the Jaguars, it can be a hit or miss with the just quick, throws that Trevor Lawrence likes to, like you said it, Peterson. I'm saying correctly, right? Peterson or
Doug Peterson. Yep.
Yeah. He likes to make it really easy for just your quarterback, just to at least get him in rhythm. So what I'm hoping for is, you really touched up on it, is Dan Quinn likes to go man a lot. He really does, and that's his bread and butter, is going one-on-one and hoping you match up with your matchup. And you talking about, go ahead.
I think you might assume that he likes to go man on man a lot, because when teams actually catch the Cowboys, it's in man. But they predominantly have been more of a zone team this year. It's just that they'll have a game like against the Packers where for whatever reason they'll decide to go man, right? Or they'll get caught in their man coverage and they'll get a big play. But they have been predominantly zone this year from the statistics. I just wanted to kind of clear that up. It just looks like, oh man, we run a lot of man because what's happening? You get a Anthony Brown deep ball 1-on-1. You get a Kelvin Joseph deep ball 1-on-1, and it looks like, oh, here's man again. But they have been predominantly zone lows. So.
Oh, thank you for correcting me. Well, if that's the case, then I just hope whenever we're into man, then let's just, like you said, Sky, just put the safety where the safety needs to be, help your rookie out, or if anything, because we already seen what Diggs can do with the ball 1-on-1, right? He's going to have a chance to go get it. So if you're going to be matched up on man, 5 or 10 plays, just put some help over the top where you don't get burned on those big plays. If not, it will cost you, right? And the last thing we need to see is Christian Kirk just going for a crazy game, or Travis Etienne hitting a quick underneath pass and just going in the second level and hitting in the house. So that's all I'm worried about. But I think Dan Quinn will adjust brilliantly just every year. But what I'm ready for is next week. But I can't look too ahead. But man,
no. This if it's so funny, Los, because if you wanted, I said this before, if you want to call this a trap game, this would be the one you can be like, oh, this makes sense because you got Philly right next. But this is why you can't treat this like a trap game, bro. You got by the Texans by the skin of your teeth. So you can't come into this game thinking you're gonna roll out your helmet and get on to Philly. No, this is a quality opponent that just doesn't have a great record. A good coach team with talented players, a talented scheme. This is going to be a fight. And if it's not a fight, that's great. That means you whooped their ass.
Exactly, and we should. That's what we should have done last week. But hey, hopefully we can make it up for this week. Peace out, Sky.
100%. Good stuff, Los. he touched on something that I, for the life of me, and who am I? I'm just a YouTuber. But I just don't understand why anytime they elect to go cover one or single high, middle field closed, which I wouldn't do that. I would, if they want to do middle field, whatever, close. Why is our free safety, our deep guy, our roof guy, not hauling ass? I say hauling ass, probably shouldn't haul. But why is he not shading to help out cornerback 2? I don't get it. Let me think here. I'm trying to think of all the deep balls we've had caught on AB and Kelvin. Y'all help me out here if I'm wrong. But from my memory, I don't recall the safety being in the picture at the time the ball has arrived. Maybe one of them. Maybe that Colts game. I think Hooker might have been there right after it was caught, but I just don't get how we can look at analytics, how we can look at the tape, how we know that's Diggs over there. And this is something you could potentially argue. Are the Cowboys utilizing their benefits of having Trayvon Diggs where teams are scared to go deep? Are they utilizing those benefits correctly? Right? It's like if you have health insurance, but you just refuse to go get checked up. You have the benefit of saying, take him away. I'm sending help this way. Teams, when's the last time they threw a deep ball on Diggs? I don't recall it. So maybe that's something they'll switch up. DJ, do we got you? There we go.
I'm good now.
You good to go.
Hey, and to answer your question, the last time they threw deep on Diggs was against Washington, and it was a pick.
There you go. Or Detroit.
Detroit too.
Yeah.
I don't think that one was a pick, but he swatted that one as well.
No, he got a nice pick.
He did.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. You're right. I got two things this morning, brother. Number one, that whole vanilla pass scheme and the guys not getting separation. I feel like it's more of a chicken and the egg scenario, or at least I'm asking you. Is it vanilla because the guys aren't getting separation, or is the no separation causing Kellen Moore to call it more vanilla because he's like, hey, I just need the guys to get to a spot and we're going to run timing on this thing? If you had to, put your insight into it, which one would you feel would be more the culprit, so to speak?
I think this is just his scheme. Like, nothing has changed from the years past with when you had a guy that can get open, right? In Amari Cooper. Like,
yeah.
We're doing very similar things. The issue is not the issue. The issue is you don't have the Amari Cooper, right? So Amari Cooper presented two different options or two different things for you and two different issues for defenses. Number one, he can get open by his damn self. Number two, I've got to dedicate extra attention that way, especially on critical moments. So what's that going to do, right? It's going to open up the field for a CD Lamb. Think about how many times we've seen all the cluster around CD Lamb in the slot, and think about how many times you saw that cluster last year. You didn't, because you had Amari Cooper shading away. And a perfect example of that is the Minnesota game. If you go watch that Minnesota game last year, Pete Harrison Smith, like right before the snap, he just keeps inching over to Amari Cooper's side. And then you're getting CD Lamb kind of getting these one-on-ones, and they were running. And this is why I don't know why they stopped doing this, but they ran a lot of stuff to CD Lamb to the sidelines and the boundary. But there's nobody doing that for you this year. So when they elect to move CD inside, what do you think they're going to do if they're not motioning him? They're going to put the attention around CD Lamb, right?
Exactly.
Man, so I think it's purely schematic, but you don't have the horses to do to get separation. So thus, I think you need to adapt schematically. That's just how I feel, and I'm just the YouTuber.
Well, no, and that was my thought on it. I was just like, the guys aren't getting separation, so you can't do what you did last year because you don't have the route runner that can run every route. You know what I mean? I think the closest thing to that is CeeDee Lamb, but they're already covering him, and he doesn't run it to the level that Amari Cooper is running it, right? So I think that hampers everything that they're trying to do, and it just might be spoiled from having him and not having to come up with that stuff and seeing that you're forced into doing that. My second thing is this Jaguars offense, man. The way that I look at it and the way I think they should approach it, but I'm just a guy on the street, like I'm nobody. But the one time I watched it is the same week that we played the Giants, and a lot of the strong points. I'm not saying like obviously Trevor Lawrence has a better future in front of him than Daniel Jones, and obviously Saquon is better than anybody like Etienne or anybody that the Jaguars have. But they do a lot of similar things that I saw, and they treat Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence almost the same. They give him quick reads, they allow him to use his arm talent and all that kind of stuff. That in that aspect, that's different. But for the most part, it's 1-2. He might make a second read, and then if it's not there, he'll take off. But usually by then, he's got pressure on him anyway, so he's got to make something figure something out there. And then they do utilize the backs a lot. So if they just treat them like they did the Giants, I think they'll be okay. There's different things. Like they actually have a wide receiver in Jacksonville.
I was about to say, I don't know.
They
You can
actually have a
treat
wide receiver.
one. They got a nice group, man. You can't treat them like the Giants, in my opinion, because those Zay Jones, Marvin Jones Jr., Christian Kirk. Like that's a solid group. This is not an overwhelming group, but it damn sure ain't Darius Slayton and whoever the hell else out there. And then Trevor Lawrence is so much better than Daniel Jones, and Doug Peterson is at the very least equal, if I would say better, because he got a Super Bowl than Brian DeBall. So I think this is a way different challenge.
Well, I guess my main aspect of it is the spectrum of what they do is similar. The Jaguars do it at a higher level, right? But what they do and what they're trying to do, they can utilize wide receivers to keep it more balanced and keep the defense on their toes more.
I disagree, DJ. Here because Daniel Jones took that shot against Anthony Brown in that game, was it? But other than that, Daniel Jones was barely attempting throws beyond 7 yards. Trevor Lawrence will, because their scheme will try to get guys open down there. And I think they're better with the underneath stuff. So I hate to keep pushing back on you. I just don't see the comparison between them. Now, if you want to compare them to anything, I would say their schemes do a lot of movement, pre-snap motion type stuff. But I think post-snap, due to the personnel that they have, Brian DeBall has to call the game differently because they can't throw the ball downfield, where Trevor Lawrence can, and they'll design it that way. So I digress on that. I don't mean to keep pushing back, but I just don't see the similarities.
No, I get you. And it may be just what their game plan for the week that I watched, right? Because they were going up against, I believe it was the Bills, and they had, that Bills defense, he had to get the ball out quick, and so that's why I saw a lot of similarities, because I literally watched them back to back. So that may have been just that week. So I just watched one game, and that's what I saw. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that
the conference has been locked.
Indeed, man. Appreciate the call, DJ.
Yes, sir.
Let me get to this comment here. And that's why I believe this is an outdated comment. And I'm not sure your stance on this situation. I know who you are, Ghostface Thriller. But this is incorrect this season. You said Dak doesn't like to anticipate his throws. He'd rather wait until guys flash open and stop. Oh, boy, and then I didn't even read that part. That's absolutely wrong. No chance for big plays. I don't know your stance on him, but I can get a sense of it here. That is such an outdated thought process that I wonder, are you watching the tape this year? Similar to yesterday where somebody brought up something similar. There's not a chance that you could sit here and watch him do what he's doing and say he's not anticipating throws. There's no way. There's just no way. You know why? Because a lot of his picks are coming from anticipating and expecting his receivers to be where they be, and they're not on the same page. Dak is thinking one thing, the receiver's thinking the other. So maybe you had a point in previous years, but not this one. Not this one. This year, there's maybe times where people think he's over anticipating, but he is 100% throwing anticipation throws this season. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this sounds like a low hanging fruit. What's the terminology when everybody groupthink? It sounds like a groupthink thing. Not necessarily a ESPN thing because they don't talk about that type of stuff, but it sounds like Twitter groupthink. He is 100% anticipating this year. 100%. I don't know how you can really watch the tape and say he is not. Now, can you say when they do disguise coverages, is there hesitation? Yeah, he'll even admit that. There's absolutely hesitation when they disguise the coverage. So I can't push back on that. But when it comes to anticipation, he's 100% doing that, man. We got Odessa, and then I want to end it with B Bird. Perfect day to do that. Perfect rotation, I say. What's up, 432?
Hey, what's up, my man?
There you go. What's goody?
I just wanted to talk to you about Kellen Moore for a little bit and get your thoughts on him.
Sure.
I feel like we've gotten enough evidence through, what are we, week 15 now?
Yes.
That Kellen Moore is, when it gets down to it, scary. He can't stick with the run game. He immediately reverts back to what he's always done, which is, throwing the ball 40 times. And I feel like whenever we play, Green Bay or some real threat, or, when we play Green Bay, when we play a real threat, like San Fran or Philly, it's going to be the end of us.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be regurgitating here and talking in circles, but yeah, Kellen is he is what he is. That's what I said, right? Like he's got the bag, he's got the recipe. It's just a matter of will he bring that bag and recipe to that game. We never know if it's going to be that specific recipe or that bag. Let me just say that. We don't know if it's going to be that bag. I said this on Twitter talking to Connor. Like we both agree, Kellen Moore's not dumb. Kellen Moore's not. He's not dumb, man. I just think he tries to be too smart. He outsmarts himself and overthinks it. And he's still young, I guess. But I said at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to retract. This year 4 now, man. So, and I gave him credit. I give him credit. He did adjust with the tight end sets and things like that. But for whatever reason, we're seeming to go away from it a bit here. And trying to be a little bit more stubborn in our 11 personnel set, which we clearly just don't have the personnel for it. But maybe that changes with T.Y. Hilton. We'll see.
Yeah, man, he scares me, especially in the second quarter. I mean, he's throwing the ball almost 20 times and running it twice, and then
that was.
I feel like at halftime he looked at the stat sheet and he was like, "Oh crap, I'm about to get in trouble for this." So what does he do? He comes out and runs the ball 9 straight times, and we turn the ball over, which was basically our 4th turnover.
Yep. They
so
yeah, that's
scary, man.
Yeah, it is. That is the trust issues we have, and hopefully him and Dak can get on the same page for those games, man, and for the games in the playoffs, I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, I appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, man. Good stuff. All right, let's end this thing with the original OG, B Bird. What's up, fam?
Hey, what's going on, Scott?
How you feeling?
Doing this morning, brother?
I'm good. I'm doing real good. I started early.
I'm doing good, man. I was talking to Boss the other day, and I equated that 11 runs in a row in the second half being passive aggressive, similar to when Kobe Bryant refused to shoot the ball in the playoffs against the Suns.
Oh, against the Suns? I'm diehard. Well, I guess now a little, but then I was, and I was like, man, he tripping.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna shoot Kobe. Smush Parker, Kobe.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing you talked about earlier was the safety play, and on those long passes, and I do definitely agree with you. I don't see the safety in the picture, and you have to wonder where he is. And the thing is I don't know if you ever seen this, but I saw I can't remember if it was Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, but they asked him who was the toughest player you played against. He said Ed Reed.
Ed Reed.
And they asked why, and he said because of his mind. He said, what I would do, I would look Ed Reed off, and Ed Reed would run into the location that I was looking off, like I fooled him. He said, but all along, Ed Reed was turned his hips when I was turning back the other way. What he's trying to say is Ed Reed baited me to think that other player was open on the other side, but he's already turned that way. What I'm trying to say is that's on the player. The player has to understand what he has out there. I got the top shutdown corner, one of the top shutdown corners in the league. They're not going to go that way. Odds are they're going to go analytically. They're going to go the other way. So I should use those in my mindset to get over there and help that guy out more than this guy. So I think that's really on the players. They got to have a feel of the game, a feel of how things going. The players that's out there, you just can't play it like when the rules say this, and no, you got to break those and say no. They're going to go at my guy AP. They're going to go at Kelvin Joseph more likely than they're going to go after Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was going to ask you about, because again, you get to see the 22, get to analyze it a little bit more. What did you see as far as the defense, how the defense played us? To me, I think what ends up happening, like we played against Denver and San Francisco, I think it's really important for us to get into some second down and manageables and third down and manageables, because if we don't do that, if it's obvious passing, then they're going to show, those pass defenses that we don't necessarily like to see. So is that what we kind of seen the other day? Did you notice that via the film?
The Texans did what the Texans do, but I did say on Twitter, the Cowboys have been piss poor, is the word I used after the first series, on early downs, and they kept putting themselves in third and longs. But the Texans, I mean, it's Lovie Smith, right? They're primarily going to be a Tampa 2 team, and they run it to a T, right? We're going to drop back our safeties, we're going to put our corners hugging the sidelines, and we're going to have my Mike linebacker just drop back. And Kirksey was doing a fantastic job at doing that. And but that game also reminded me a bit of the blueprint, right? But this is gonna sound crazy, but it had some Denver, they call it the Fangio 6 to it a little bit, and it had some Arizona to it in regards to the disguise pre-snap, post-snap. And if you listen to Dak, he even admitted it. He said they did things we thought they would do, but they also showed some coverages that we hadn't seen. And I would imagine he's talking about some of those robber coverages that you would see them start off in cover 2, and then right at the snap, right before the snap, one of the safeties is coming down hard to rob the middle of that field, and they would take one linebacker and they would just have the flat covered. It'd be like 2 guys covering the flat, or 2 guys covering Noah Brown or CeeDee Lamb if they were going that way, and then they would take away or at least have somebody there for Dalton Schultz. So they did a fantastic job. This is why I said we got to give them props. Like they schemed their ass off. It was up to us to adapt to that, and I don't think Dallas ever really did it. I don't even think they did it in the final drive, to be completely honest. I just think Dak just nutted up and was like, hey, man, y'all going to have to catch these hospital balls that I'm throwing at y'all. Y'all just going to have to, because there's nothing else that we've done to correct this situation. So you saw him fitting those honey hole shots to Noah Brown, throwing it up the seam to Dalton Schultz, and he's finally start catching them and taking the hits, right? CeeDee Lamb coming on a crosser with a guy waiting there to take his head off, and he caught it. They were just catching and containing on those plays, but we never really figured it out, to be honest. And that's why I came on here this week and was like, hey, man, I mean, I don't know why. If I was a team, I would just continue to do this. But that's not everybody's DNA. That is the Texans' DNA, though. They're going to be that type of team.
And my last thing before I get off, I do like the acquisition of T.Y. Hilton. The reason why is because he's available, right? We can't wait on Odell Beckham for 5 weeks and this, that, and other. Then you have to get acclimated to the game. All these other things. We don't even know how he's going to be when he comes back. So I really like T.Y. Hilton. He's available. He's ready to go. A good route runner and all that. But do you think that the reason after the game the other day, you may have talked about this week too, did that signal, hey, we need help as far as, getting CeeDee Lamb, somebody else out there that's going to be a threat? And I'll get off the phone and listen to you offline.
Appreciate you, B-Bird. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right.
I misheard the question. He said, do I think the game the other day is the reason why? I don't think the game the other day is. And here's why, B-Bird. Because I've been saying for weeks, really since before the trade deadline, when the Cowboys were interested in Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Cooks and all these other guys, Denzel Mims, they clearly were trying to upgrade the receiving room so that they can do more via the 11 personnel set. Or if they decide to go 4 wide, they don't do that often. But so they've always been trying to upgrade that. I think it really hit them when it was like, okay, Jalen Tolbert's not ready. Like he's not ready. So we got to try to address this situation. Do I think there was a sense of urgency because of the Titans game? No, I wouldn't say that. I think the sense of urgency came when it was like, oh, Odell ain't got no ACL. He for real don't got no ACL. Like you're not even going to run for us, Odell. All right, cool. So then they called T.Y. Hilton, and T.Y. was like, hey, man, I'll run for you, man. Where the star at? What you want me to do? Outside, inside, left, right, up, down? I'll do whatever you want. And T.Y. came in there and put on a show, and boom. He's ready to go. You heard Mike McCarthy and Jerry. They was like, he ready. And I think he's going to play. So I think that's where the sense of urgency came from. Is realizing that Odell was not going to be ready. Let's get to these supers that I might have missed. What's today's? All right, we got a few here.
Super chat.
Hey, Ron, appreciate you, man. You're always sending me some good stuff on Twitter. Teams have figured out when Micah needs a blow and they go no huddle. Oh, I saw that earlier when you put that, and I wrote down that's something I want to start tracking. Because that's a good point if that's happening, right? Like when Micah's out, are they speeding up, going no huddle to not allow substitution? So I'm going to keep my eye on that, Ron. But good observation if that is the actual case. Sam Rowe, who said he would give up his wife for Trevor Lawrence.
Super chat.
He said, saying Dak can't anticipate his racist. I said it. I ain't going that far. But I just think it's a tired opinion. Or I don't know, tired might even be not tired. It's wrong, actually. I just think it's a wrong opinion. Absolutely, he can anticipate. In fact, there's times probably this year you're like, yo, just anticipate, throw that thing out of bounds, or just go into halftime and et cetera, et cetera. Or I hate to say this, have less trust in your guy. But think about this for a second, Cowboys Nation. Are you guys noticing they're not running that route anymore? Which I'm all for. I said it. Either eliminate the route or let somebody else do it. From the just kind of I have to go back and watch more intently and mark it down, but just kind of remembering the last 3 games, I want to say they really haven't run that kind of cross face, go behind the safety type of route. Maybe the interception against the Giants, but that just seemed like he was going up the seam and he tried to put it on the back shoulder. But it doesn't seem like they're running it as much. So hell, good for them. Stop running it. I'm talking about with Lamb. With Schultz, I'm fine with Schultz doing it because Schultz and Dak have that connection. I'm talking about with CD Lamb. I can't think of how many times they've ran out with CD Lamb, because that's where the issues have come from. It hasn't come with Schultz. Schultz has been fine doing it. But CD Lamb, it's where the interceptions become. And I don't think that was the route against the Giants. So I don't recall them really doing it. So, hey, kudos to them figuring that out. Now, maybe they'll do it with T.Y. Hilton, and that'll open things up for Lamb on the outside. When I say open things up I mean I want them to do more CD Lamb things out there. So, actually, it'd be the inverse. It'll open things up for T.Y. because if you put CD Lamb on the outside, that safety has to then help over there with CD Lamb, and now T.Y. Hilton can make some plays. Good stuff, man. Y'all were really good today, man. I appreciate y'all. On a 20K day. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Actually, it is believable. Let me stop. I'm a humble guy, but it is believable. When I set out to do this is honestly, the expectation was to continue to grow. I didn't know what that meant in regards to numbers, but we ain't done. We ain't close to being done. At all. Me and Vaj had a crazy conversation, not crazy, but a very good conversation about the future the other day. And just know we got so much in store, man. So much in store. With that said, really good stuff today. I hope y'all enjoyed the breakdown of the Jags. I enjoy breaking them down. I can't wait for this game. I know it's the Jags, but I think it's going to be a good one. A good way to put a statement back to the league that was a fluke last week.
Philly.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
No. We can't look ahead. We can't look ahead. Hit that like button though if you enjoyed this show, man. And if you are here and you're watching and you can't comment to be a part of this crazy community, but crazy good community, hit that sub button so you can do all that. Be a part of this 20K. Be a part of it. It's fantastic. And it don't stop here. Later on, we get Mo. He'll come on tonight. And then about 3:06, usually is later. But 3-ish Mafia. You can find me back on the volume with my big little bro. Or little big bro. Vach Lombardi. All right. Let me press this button. We did good time today, huh? Came in early. Got out at a good time. Guess this waking up extra early thing ain't that bad. If it was up to Michelle, I'd be up at 4:30, and I'm sorry, I just not happening. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all sincerely. We did it, man. 20 freaking K. We out. Peace.
Bomb Squad!